How's everybody doing tonight? It's just something super quick. Hopefully, everybody's happy Thursday. Almost getting there. Let's let a few people fall in. Glad y'all can join me. Just going to talk about the part of the Russian-Ukraine war. They had a wiper malware virus in there, so we're just going to hit on that. I had a few people call me and ask me some questions about it, so we're just going to talk about that at a high level, then talk about some architecture. What's up, BLLC? Glad you can join me. I think it's a bad time. Everybody went live around this time. I'll probably go back at night. Once again, if you got any security questions, just drop them in the chat and we can go over them. Like, yeah, we're going to hit this. What's up, Real Talk with Melissa Byrne? Glad you can join me. She did an excellent Russian talk today. She had President Biden on there. Go subscribe to her. She's doing big things. We're going to get a little more technical over here. She was breaking it down from a geopolitical point. So I kind of stay away from that. I try to stay in technology. Hey, glad you can join me. So we're going to get in and out super quick. We're going to talk about the technology, the cyber attack. Those two been at cyber war for the last 5 years. So Russia going to run through them super quick. So it's going to be interesting to see the fallout from that from a geopolitical standpoint. So I did a few videos on just the cyber attacks, different escalations, talking about, and Melissa touched on her show. What are you doing personal to make sure if something kind of goes left in the United States, you're ready for it? So so it's going to be interesting. Like I said, I can't touch that too much, but that's why I'm here. Yes, very interesting. Oh, facts. Everybody has their lane, Melissa. Everybody has their lane. So, so like I said, we about to fall into it. Like I said, we're going to be in and out. Not like I said, something super quick. So, if you look up the Ukraine Western world, they done shut down the banks. They done shut down a lot of their infrastructure from a cybersecurity attack. So I really think they can actually shut down all the power in their country and just roll through it real quick. So it's going to be interesting because they did a hybrid attack where they did some disinformation and made the public get nervous with the banks to make a run on the banks. They actually shut down the banks. It's called a DDoS attack. They just flooded their network with a lot of information, and part of that attack was the wiper attack, where when this malware gets on your machine, it's not ransomware. It deletes everything, destroys everything, then it reboots your machine. So those logs that was tracking them got destroyed too, right? So from a cybersecurity attack, that's a nation state at the top of the pyramid. I should have put the pyramid in our slides. So let's kind of knock these slides out. Like I said, I went live when everybody went live. So the war in Ukraine, what is the wiper malware that Russia may be using for a cyber attack on Ukraine? Once again, it's a virus malware that when you click on something or upload something, it's going to land on your machine. It's going to activate. Swift is in virus, or Swift as in the kind of the banking system of Swift, how international companies exchange money. Is that the Swift you're talking about? That's been hacked too, but usually when you talk about Swift, from a banking perspective, that's you talking about Swift, how they international businesses change money, Swift. So Russia started its special military operation in Ukraine on Thursday, and all eyes glued on the cyber warfare scenario. Reports have already confirmed Russian attacks on the Ukraine government website, as well as other banking institutions that can cripple the nation. But a bigger concern is the use of a malware called Wiper, which has the ability to destroy all the data stored in the system, as well as make it impossible to recover it. So when it does it, it actually damages the computer, right? And you actually have to get a new computer. Yeah, I think I'll touch on that at the end. I think he's talking about the Swift banking system. I think Russia's impeding them exchanging money because theoretically we could loan Russia money to become, to buy stuff because they don't have a federal bank like we have a Fed bank, right? So I think Biden wants to send them through the SWIFT system, and I think Russia's messing with the SWIFT system. Yeah, I touch on that. Yeah, it's the SWIFT banking system. Uh, Russia and Ukraine Thursday, and all eyes. Yep. So what is the wiper malware? As the name suggests, wiper malware can wipe all the data from any system infecting. It's the worst part is the data is unrecoverable. So what is gone is gone. Unlike most malware in the public, wipers are not infected with the purpose of stealing money or taking ransomware. The sole idea behind the wiper attack is to destroy the entire system in question. So in a warlike situation, wiper comes in extremely handy for countries attacking, right? Because usually people, what's up, Wal? They do encryption. They try to get some money back. Now this wiper is damaging the disk, right? It's gonna make the disk spins up. The disk is gonna start hitting the heads, and it's gonna start scraping stuff. Does Ukraine has a good blue team? No, not from the nation state, JM. That's why we're talking about helping them. I think from a country they up there, but people don't realize Russia, their cyber expertise is up there too. Is they're friends with China, so I think China's lending some of those experts to Russia, right? They're not gonna put their fingerprints on them, but they're giving them some extremely highly sophisticated cyber attacks coming from Japan. So I think they're working together, JM. So I think that's why they just running over poor little Ukraine. Ukraine doesn't want any of that cyber smoke. But once again, the sole idea behind the wiper attack is to destroy the entire system in question. So in a warlike situation, wiper comes in extremely handy, right? So like I said, it's not trying to get any ransomware. It's not trying to steal your information. It's trying to destroy your computer system. So your banks can't work, your government can't work, your ATMs won't work, right? Because all that's based on servers and stuff. So once that gets out there, um, like I said, it's damaging computers, right? So historically, Wiper has been with us for the last, I think 2012 was when I heard about it, but they keep making it better over the years, right? Anything destroys, they give them the Wiper. So I'll just pull this off Wikipedia because I heard Wiper a decade ago. Here it is. Piece of malware referred to as Wiper was allegedly used against the Iran oil companies in 2012. The International Telecommunication Union, supplied by Kaspersky Labs, which hard drives allegedly was damaged by Wiper for analysis. While a sample of the alleged malware could not be found, Kaspersky discovered traces of separate pieces of malware known as Flame. Right, that was 2012. So it's been around since 2012. It got upgraded in 2016 and looked like it's a new strain that's much more powerful in 2022. Right, so these viruses have been out there forever. Right, how you deliver them and get them to activators are a little different, but viruses and malware to destroy computers is nothing new, right? So I don't know if that's good or bad, right? So components of it was used part of malware employed by the Lazarus Group, cybercrime, and from North Korea during the 2013 cyber attack against Sony Pictures in 2014. Once again, this is the Wikipedia history on Wiper malware. So yeah, once again, I think their blue team is decent, JM, but now you're talking about nation states and other nation states helping other nation states. So this is a whole different ball game now. So what steps should you take to prevent any malware attack? The main basis to cover for any security mishaps are the same. As we always say, keeping backups crucial data so that you don't lose it the moment the wiper malware attacks your system, right? So I always have backups, right? So, but the question is a lot of times is our DR site, we copy the backup to the DR site. So when you get malware, it copies it down to the DR site and starts tearing up your disaster recovery site. So you actually need to take a backup, put it on disk or somewhere separate or USB drive, and actually take it off your system, right? So if something happens and your system gets destroyed, you can actually go get that physical backup and restore it. Most companies keep their backups online, but if your backup is online, the hackers might be able to get to it, right? So that's why you got to be much more careful taking your backups and storing them somewhere really off-site. And I think that's a lost art. Everybody wants to keep their stuff online and for it to be hot. But if you're syncing your primary to your backup, that malware could get to your off-site, your disaster recovery site, and destroy it. So you need to take the actual physical backup and put it somewhere, right? So we're gonna go through it. One of the guys, shout out to Gabe, one of the guys on Twitter was actually dismantling the virus. So we're gonna go through and look at some spots. And I don't really dismantle code or go through code, but we're gonna look at some of the hot spots in these code to what's causing some of this damage, right? So it said one in thread. He's been reversing this malware that's been going on around the Ukraine. It appears to be Wiper is dropping a driver to do a low-level partition manipulation. The driver appears to be a legitimate ease use partition. So if there it says the device, or which is the Linux device or DOS device, right? So he's pointing out how the malware is getting into there and actually how it's getting injected into your system, right? We're going super low. We're just gonna touch on this real quick. So he's walking through the virus. To end, the driver can also be seen on the partition of the hard disk, probably the boot device, in order to corrupt the partition table. I've only done a static analysis, so I'm not quite sure. So once again, it's going to device, the hard disk, and the partition is actually on your hard disk. Is actually partitioned in Linux and Unix, right? When you set up a drive, you partition it to do drive C, D, E, and F, right? Or a drive name in Linux. So he's just walking through the virus. So another thing caught my eye was the PDB. When looking for these strings, I found a Stack Exchange post from almost a decade ago discussing an old version of the same driver. The paths are similar. Seeing a screenshot, recent version of the same ease use drive, right? So that mod.disk access driver, right? These are low-level calls that most people don't even know anymore because computers are so easy to use. But long story short, when you setting up your drives and formatting them and partition them, these are the commands you use in Windows to do that, right? So they're using those same commands to destroy this disk. All right, so it's just by a couple more slides. Another thing, notice is the main executable that loads the driver changes these two values in the registry key. See the screenshots. These values are visually changing in Explorer, right? So they show comp colors and show info text. Displays compressed and encrypted NTF drive files in color. Must be 1 to enable or 0 to disable. So once again, they're setting up their disk and compressing them. NTFS is a Windows server's mount drive. Then he said, if I'm reading this correctly and wrong, please, it looks like the crash dump is being disabled by the main executable. So it says crash dump and it's disabling it. I think when it's disabling it, it usually stops your server from being crashed. Right here, though, they're enabling it so it won't catch the crash. Let's see what my man JM said. Sometimes antivirus create new virus to predict modifications that attackers will make from an existing virus. That way they can. Oh, no, that's true to add to those signatures. No, that's true. Like I said, the only thing I want to do with a virus is quarantine it, JM, but you're 100%. I usually don't try to disassemble viruses, but I thought it was a high-level exercise, so that's why I want to just kind of peek at it real quick. Like I said, it's going to be short. This last one, using the SP backup privilege to screw with the system volume information and the sysvol. So the boot gist and the sys volumes help you set your drive up. So he's using this to destroy the drives because once you destroy the boot sector and that, your drive is inoperable, right? So he's kind of breaking it down and finding those commands is actually going to mess your drive up, mess your boot sector up, mess your master record set up, mess up your backup privileges. So that's really how you destroy a drive with malware, right? SN going over the app data, corrupting user profile desktop, the My Documents folders, and Windows event logs function with question marks means not 100%. So once again, those are standard directories on your system. Like you said, they're destroying them, right? So now we're going to talk about from a company's perspective what you need to do to combat this, right? PDZ is just a common term for firewalls for a corporation, right? So it says watch your egress firewalls work both ways. Carefully monitor outbound traffic in your DMZ servers. Respond to external requests. Look for DMC systems initiating outbound. This is what phoning home, aka C2, looks like. And coming up, I got a slide that has those subnets in them. But when you do a subnet, 9 times out of 10, it shouldn't be calling out first from your subnet. Some should come in that's making that call out, right? So if you get hit by that type of virus, it's on your machine. It's going to phone home to get the rest of that malware to come down to your system. He's saying you should be blocking that, right? And he said, don't get too hung up on IP address block. Geo blocking has some advantages, but the only time Russian groups come from a Russian IP space is when they want to rub it in, start treating your entire internet as hostile, because it is, right? So some people think, oh, if I block all the Russian IPs, I'm good. That's a no, you're not. They're going to attack you from inside the United States, right? It's called a bot herd. They're going to take over about 1,000 machines, right? So that malware, will your virus protection catch it? Is that pattern known to your virus system, right? The guy that was doing a disassembling of that virus protection, I think he's giving those patterns to some of the larger virus protection. So if they see this pattern, they can block it, right? They would know it's malware. So I think some of that's are making it in some of the virus protection that has hopefully stopped that malware from getting on the system. Number 3 is what we talk about. Take a physical backup, take one ASAP, and remove it from the network, right? So if anything's happened, what's up, Mr. Awesome? You will still have your data, right? So you need to do a physical backup, number 3, and remove it from your network. 4, communication to your employees. Let them know, hey, be careful. Don't be clicking on anything. If you think it's a coupon and you don't know who it comes from, do not click on it. So number 5, put that in highlight. You 100% must know what is normal on your systems. App control is used called whitelisting. It is no longer a nice to have. In this humble opinion, anyone who claims otherwise is giving dated and dangerous advice. What let's see. Facts. And we tried using training that's number 1, user training, but sometimes somebody's gonna click on something, Jam, but you're 100% correct. What is up, Helmet Chili? App Blocker is one that's used around the world for Microsoft, and we're going to talk about that in SC Linux is that. So what that does is it says these are the applications that run on my server. Anything else should be blocked, right? So if malware came on your server and it didn't have permission to run on your server, it wouldn't be able to run on your server, right? It would block the execution of it. Right, so he's talking about that if building the app control sounds hard, you're doing it wrong. So he's just listening. If normal app users on Linux hosts, you should be auditing your sysmon and your Linux. And out there is talking about how do you audit your system in Linux, right? So basically, you could tell your machine only run these 10 programs. That's only ones that have been identified to run on your system by your SA and your security department. Awesome. Guidance compressor is really awkward spot right now. Facts. They are. So real quick, we were talking about PDZ. This is your standard PDZ. Red one is your web tier. That's your DMZ to the outside, your app tier, and your database. So what they're saying is nothing back here should come out without something coming in first, right? Without you knowing. So a lot of time malwares get on those systems, it's going to make a call and bring other malware in to damage it. But if that malware makes a call out, your firewall should block it, right? So that's what they mean by that. And most people running the standard 3-tier. Are public search engines allowed to have blast lists of websites? Not if they're public. No, I take that back. We have public subnets, and we tell it what IPs to let in. So yeah, so they could that public, the public part means the internet could get to it, but you could be still have a firewall and only accepting certain things into from the public, right? A lot of times people do search. So I got the private key, you got the public cert. So when my public cert meets my private, I'll let you in. So there's a couple ways to do that. Let's see what JM got. Sometimes you can access by typing in IP instead of. Yep, that's true. That's why you got to do it by IP too, JM, to block it. No, you're 100% correct. So that's the standard 3-tier. This is usually the public. So I could put some IP rules in there to only let certain people from the public to get in. So yeah, you can do that. Or sometimes it's public and you only let VPN in. This is what we were talking about, the geolocation. I do a lot of AWS. So at the top, the WAF could say, if you're from Russia or Ukraine, don't let them in my website. The WAF will block them at the top. Down at the bottom, say if you're from the US, you good. You can tell the WAF if they're from UK. Certain IPs come from certain countries. We know what those are. So we can put those IPs in the WAF and block them from coming in, right? So that's the basic thing you start doing is anything from Russia, we're blocking, right? But once again, they're gonna take over some servers in the United States and attack us. So I still would do it, but I wouldn't rely on it as a high level security check, right? It's just some low level to keep the script kiddies from Russia out, right? The mid level guys out, maybe, right? But any nation state, right? They're gonna have spoofing IPs and they're gonna be taking over servers in the United States. So here I'm gonna drop the link. Then in a minute, if you want to come up, because I'm almost done. Like I said, I was making it. Let's see what Mr. Awesome says. So is that how Netflix have different shows? Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, the IPs tell you what location is, and depending on the IPs, they can tell you what shows are most popular in those areas. Of course, they doing a behavior analysis too on what you click, but part of that behavior analysis is what shows in that region are hot. So can VPNs not be can VPNs not bypass that? Bypass the depending on what you're connecting to your VPNs, but yeah, if you're connecting your VPNs, yeah, the VPN could bypass that from the Netflix and your VPN, wherever you VPN to, it's gonna bring up that subnet. If you're in another country and you VPN to the United States somewhere, right, you're gonna have that IP from the United States. Right. But a lot of people VPN to YouTube. I'm like, dude, that's the destination and source. So YouTube could pull up the IP address because it's inside that VPN tunnel. Right. So you got a VPN somewhere else, then go into the site you want to go into. But yeah, so when you VPN, you're going to get a certain IP address from another country. So that's how you do the geo blocking once again in AWS. I've been trying to study by AWS too. Part of that attack was the DDoS attack, meaning we just sending petabytes of information to your website and you can't handle it, right? So AWS gives you two resources. AWS Shields manage distributed denial of service protection against the safeguard of your application run on AWS. AWS Shield provides always on detection and automatic inline mitigation that minimizes application downtime and latency. So there's no need to engage AWS support to benefit DDoS protection. There are two tiers: AWS Shield, Standard, and Advanced. AWS Shield is free out the box. What's up, Max? AWS Shield is free out the box, and I would always use it, and that's going to help you if somebody try to hit you with a DDoS attack. AWS handles this every day, but the advanced version, all customers benefit from automated protection of Shield at no additional cost. Shield Standard defends against most common frequently occurring attacks, network layer DDoS attacks, your website or your application. When you use AWS Shield Standard, AWS CloudFront, AWS Route 53, you receive comprehensive availability protection, all known infrastructure, layer 3 and 4 of those attacks, right? So I always get that shield on there for free. Now let's see what the advanced gonna give us. For high level targeting your elastic compute, EC2, load balancer, AWS CloudFront, Accelerator 53. You can subscribe to Shield Advanced. In addition to network transport protection, you get additional detection for mitigation against large and sophisticated DDoS attack, like the one in the Ukraine, right? That's sophisticated, right? With the AWS WAS firewall, you get web application firewall. You also get Shield Advanced. It gives you 24/7 access to AWS Shield response team. I mean, if you get hit and you're big enough, you're going to get the AWS expert to help you block a DDoS attack. Related spikes to load balancing EC2, CloudFront, and global accelerator charges. It's available globally on all Amazon CloudFronts, global accelerators, and Route 53 edge locations. You can protect your website hosted anywhere in the world by deploying AWS CloudFront on your application. Your origin servers can be Amazon S3, EC2, ELB, or custom services, right? You can get Advanced Shield to protect all those. So if Russia or Ukraine was trying to come and get you, or they getting each other, if you had your website out there, you get that Advanced Shield. They will handle all that traffic for you for a pretty penny, but they can help you at it. So once again, the blue is standard. You get pre-configured protection, detection, and mitigation. You get advanced, you get pointing wizard, faster migration and customization of your application, 24/7, cloud metrics, attack diagnostics, global threat environment dashboard, and you get a quarterly security report, right? So some of my large clients have that, right, on their thing, right? Because they're doing nation state and global type business, right? So they believe there will be could be attacked, right? SC Linux, I love Linux. So real quick, the SC Linux enables this enforcement mode security module that provides access control policy. It's now the standard in RPM based distribution. Fedora, Red Hat, and CentOS. It's widely used in industry to lock down Linux service to help protect against malicious activities, right? And this is what this is, right? You talking about the wiper. You can't get any more malicious than turn up your hard drives, right? It enforces this by default because it raises the security bar for the service. But running SC Linux in permissive mode rather than enforced mode, you can develop a SC Linux policy for that. It defines access control for application, processing, files, and system. It uses a security policy which set rules that tells SC Linux that you can or cannot be accessed to enforce and access the allowed policy. Known as a subject, it makes a request to the object like a file. SC Linux checks with the access vector cache where permissions are cached for the subject or object, right? Sometimes you can deflect those DDoS with honeypots. Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on honeypots, JM, and you are 100% right. I believe most people aren't good enough to do honeypots. If you let somebody in your organization and they get loose, JM, that's negligent. So I've never seen anybody run a honeypot in real life. And I wouldn't recommend it because when you let foreign people on your network to do stuff, no, JM, if they get loose or somehow feel how to escalate their privileges, because now you letting nation states or high level people on your network on purpose. JM, I cannot co-sign that, brother. I cannot co-sign that. But that is true. But I can't co-sign that. Most people aren't that good, JM. If anybody's on my network, I get nervous. My network, and I get nervous, JM. I don't do that. Does the wiper malware affect system like SC differently than a system with HHD? Yeah, because when you looked at those commands, I don't think some of those commands will work on an SSD Pro style one. But I need to do a little research. I am not the malware guy, but those commands, just looking at, I need to look at them a little closer. Those were all HDD commands that you would do on a disk. Like you said, I don't think those commands would work on that type of disk, right? But a lot of times when you put so much data over it on those RAM, it's going to automatically write over to the HDD drives because remember they were doing DDoS attacks, and that's going to make your logs file so big on those SSD. I think they're automatically going to flow over to that. Maddox, you think those commands going to work on that SSD? Maddox think they'll work, so I have to delve into that a little more pro style. Like I said, I don't do malware stuff like that. I'm more blue team compliance, but I did get a lot of CISOs and CIOs asking me questions about this. So um, I might have Maddox come up and break that down. Like I said, I don't do a lot of those commands anymore for that level of disk. So I have to do some research on it. But I don't doubt my man Maddox. I wouldn't. I think STD had a limit number of write cycles, so there would be another issue to worry about. No, that's true. Anytime you got, like you said, wiper virus, so yeah, I would have to dig in that. Um, Max, if you want to come up, I dropped the link. Like I said, those commands, like I said, I've just always done those commands on HDD, but they might work on an SSD. I'm not 100% sure on that. Like I said, my job is to set this up so they won't come on our disk and we won't have to worry about it. But no, facts. So once again, this is the whitelisting of Linux. It talks about the subject. You put those commands into the SC Linux, and it says if you got permission to run it or not. If it's no, the malware wouldn't be able to activate. It should be denied message because once it tries to run, it's going to check to see if that program has permissions to run on that Linux box. So it should get denied, right? We should be able to get that in the logs and hopefully quarantine it as a rogue program pretty quick. So that's why everybody's pushing a whitelisting on Linux. Once again, process request acts. It goes into SC Linux with the policy repository. That repository looks at that malware. It should say it has no permission to run, right, and gets stuck on that disk and wouldn't hopefully be able to tear it up because it wouldn't be able to run. Okay, that's cool, Maddox. I feel you, Maddox, man. I got too many jobs too, man. Shout out to Maddox for chiming in. So once again, I got to do a little research. Maddox thinks that's gonna work on the SSD, and I believe him. Like I said, I don't do a lot of that, but from a architect standpoint, we hit those high points real. Here's your standard 3-tier web tier open to the public. That's the DMZ. Your app tier with your databases in the back, right? So theoretically, we should be blocking those IPs, geolocating. Linux boxes, we're going to run the SC Linux to block the execution of those because we're going to have our whitelisting. So the malware shouldn't be whitelisted, right? Two, if anything gets on our servers and try to make a call out, we should be blocking all calls out. We shouldn't let anything go to a rogue IP. So that command and server IP should be in our whitelist. So that should be getting blocked, right? So those are the 3 or 4 things you could do to actually block the wiper malware on it, so it wouldn't be able to run those commands on the SSD drive or the HDD drive. So I dropped the link if anybody want to come up and chit chat. We can. If anybody got any security questions, we can. I just want to come in. Like I said, I was getting called by some executives. We were in a meeting chopping it up, so we were going over that playbook. Like I said, those are the 4 things we were checking out and making sure we had set up from a bigger company, one of the Fortune 4 companies. Were giving that information out, so we were checking. They call them playbooks. What do we have in our network? And I do a lot of AWS work, so from an AWS perspective, how would I secure that to make sure those servers didn't get taken out by the wiper? Melissa Bering brought up. Let me find that. She asked me about the Swift, and the Swift I think she's talking about. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. Swift banking system. I know it's been hacked a couple times where she kicked out. Oh, okay, there. I think yeah, that's what they're talking about there. I don't know if she's still on, but So the SWIFT banking account system from that, Russia's faced expulsion from key tool. Russia should be cut off the SWIFT banking message system as punishment for invading Ukraine. Three countries in the eastern part of Eastern Europe said Thursday their call was echoed by the European president, who's called on international community to protect that sovereignty. Ministry called international community to impose the strongest possibility sanction on Russia, including disengaging Russia from SWIFT, isolating it politically and supporting that. When you move money international, you use the SWIFT banking account. It's been hacked a lot. Somebody stole $1 billion from it. But when we need to send money to other countries, there's an exchange different. All that's done on SWIFT. So if you can't go on SWIFT right, you can't do international business at a certain level. So I don't know if she's still on here, but from my perspective, I think that's the SWIFT that they're talking about. People trying to get them to ban. White House predicted last week that the first sanctions triggered with Russian invasion will likely include a ban from SWIFT, citing the potential for spillover effect. SWIFT underpins the global financial system, handling millions of secure messages every day to help banks manage transactions around the world. SWIFT were founded in the 1970s and headquartered outside Brussels. So I think this is what Melissa was asking me about from a SWIFT perspective. Once again, from a cybersecurity perspective, it gets attacked a lot, and people were stealing a lot of money, but the cybersecurity of that is a lot better now. But that's how country moves money from a global perspective, is using SWIFT. So wouldn't Ukraine cyber attack the United States be against their interests, or is it Russia located in the Ukraine? Ukraine is actually right connected to Russia. I need to double check that. Like Canada's close. I think Ukraine wanted to be in NATO, which for Russia, they like, oh no, that'll have the United States and Europe too close to their borders. So I don't think the Ukraine was cyber attack the United States. Russia was cyber attack the United States. We're actually supposed to be helping Ukraine with our experts to be able to handle the Russian attack in cyberspace, because Russian DDoS their two big banks and shut them down. So they couldn't move money for a while for that, Mr. Austin. But yeah, you're right. So now Ukraine wouldn't be attacking us. Russia would be. So if I say Ukraine, that's my fault. Now Russia will be attacking the United States. And I think we're actually sending cyber help to the Ukraine currently to try to get them to get their infrastructure up. So we were talking about that on B2B's channel too, is what did you personally got? If we got attacked and they shut down our electricity grid for 2 weeks, would you be okay? Right? Do you have extra water? Right? If you Google Florida, I don't think it was some foreign attacker because was gonna put extra. I'm calling it bleach because they were doing something to distill the water, but they was gonna put too many chemicals on there. Right? A guy happened to see it on his monitor, and that's the reason why it didn't happen. But if somebody put too many chemicals in your water for your state, and it took a couple weeks to flush out, what are you gonna do? Let's see what my man said. How would you check like supply chain vendors and all those during warring times in nation? If you look at CISA, I did a video that they're in charge of checking the infrastructure for all those companies, even if they're private. Because if you look at Colonial Pipeline that got shut down by Russia last year, it's actually oversight is TSA. I'm supposed to be checking on all the oil companies to make sure that they're not vulnerable. So what that means is I report to a lot of federal clients is they usually send you a security checklist or send some consultants out there to check your computers to make sure they're at a certain level. So if you got attacked theoretically, you should be able to handle that attack. So that's how they do that. My agency I work to report to the IRS, so they send out vendors and they go through all our computer check, all our policies. They scan machines and look at settings, right, Ricky? So that's how you check. And two, if you're a company and you rely on sub vendors or suppliers, their security should be at the same level as your security as your company, and you're responsible for checking that, right? It's called incident response plan. And part of that is supplier check. So so any vendor coming into the agency I work for, we review their software and we say, you need to comply by these checks at this level. So then when the big federal companies come, they said, we need to see your checks for all your sub vendors, right? This is the check we did. This is compliance. We check them every couple years, Ricky. So yeah, that's how that's supposed to work. And that's why they need 500,000 cybersecurity people now, because you got to vet your subs. If you Google, this happened 10 years ago, people were getting hacked through HVAC systems. One person got hacked. Las Vegas vendor got hacked through their fish tank. It was supposed to be checking salt water. Somebody came in through the fish tank vendor and it was on their network, and they stole some money from some people that has some limits with credit cards on them, right? They were stealing people's credit cards and bank accounts, right? Because when you're a high roller, you get bank accounts and distribution from your bank so you can start gambling, and they stole some of those account numbers, right? So now, since that happened, people want you to be validating that your vendors are good. Because if not, and I'm bringing a couple lawyers on your channel, they would say you negligent, right? And you will be in a class action lawsuit. If you're a big company, you didn't do the right thing. I'm gonna hang around a little bit. I'll drop the link if you want to come up, or if you got a few more questions. Let's see, JM. I've got facts. And they had the Indian team was sending them information, but it was white noise because they were getting too many messages from their SIM. So if you don't tune your SIM, you get 1,000 messages of white noise. So that's one thing you got to make sure you tune your SIM, so things that are really a problem, they come to the top, and it's just not a bunch of white noise. But yeah, you correct. Target, they got sometimes I think I'm on the wrong side, JM. I'm just gonna say that they be getting a lot of money with some real weak hacks too. So that's all I'm gonna say on that before I get in trouble. But yeah, so it's gonna be interesting because I think this is the age of cyber and how cyber war affects. But Russia put boots on the ground. They overwhelmed their cyber. Now they just came in with boots on the ground, and I think their cyber is going to make it easier because I think they're going to shut down the communication. They're going to shut off power. They're going to shut off bank systems. It's just going to be a chaos, and I just think it's going to make it easier for their military boots on the ground to activate. Because once you start shutting people's cybersecurity out, it's hard for people to operate. So that's going to be interesting too. And then two is, if we engage, it's going to be interesting to see Russia's cybersecurity versus our cybersecurity, right? If you Google it, Russia was in our power grid a couple years ago, and we kicked them out. So I'm sure they did reconnaissance, and they know where they hit us at in our power grid. So that's going to be interesting. Like I said, if they go full cyber and we go full cyber, what would that look like? So I'm not telling you to do anything. This is not financial advice. This is medical advice. It's not even prepping advice, but I would get some water and some food for a couple weeks just in case. That's all I'm saying. This is not prepping advice either, but I would have some waters, some candles, depending on where you at. So this summer is going to be interesting. I think we're going to get tested a little bit in the cyber world. So it's going to be interesting to see if we're ready, since we were just fighting over toilet paper about 6 or 7 months ago. So it's going to be interesting. I feel like Russia has more hacker bandits than us. US have curious kids that go to jail. Facts. I agree with that too. So, and with China and Russia kind of buddying, Ricky, that got me a little nervous. That has me a little nervous. So it's gonna be interesting to see what that is, and two is they just might poke us in the ear a little bit to agitate us, right? So if they cut off our power for 1 week, is that gonna make us put army in there, or is it just gonna agitate the citizens a little bit? Have any scientists got high resources the cybersecurity the same for satellites? That's an interesting question on that. I don't think any satellites got hacked, but I don't know. Is cybersecurity the same for satellites? No, that's a little different. I mean, it's the same as, there's encryption, there's transmissions, there's data centers for that. So there's some similarities in that, but no, that'll be interesting. Was Russia an advanced persistent threat when they hacked in the U.S. grid, or were they detected quickly? No, they were advanced. No, they were APT. I think they were in there a good year before we figured that out, Jam. I think they were an APT. So, because we trying to find them, but you got to remember is we just not really trying to get to the smart grid. So a lot of that infrastructure is like from the 70s, man, and early 80s. So that's what makes that interesting. We're really ramping up on the smart grid and to get that going, but I don't think very much as the United States has really gotten to the smart grid yet. For when I did my research, so I know we're talking about it, but there's a lot of old infrastructure out there, JM. So that has me a little nervous. But no, they were out there for a couple. You can Google it; it's out there. Uh, they were out there a couple years before we found them. And to be honest, I think they're back. I just don't think we found them yet. So that's my 2 cents on that. Well, I want to thank everybody from joining me. This was a weird time for me. I happened to look up and I'm like, oh my God, everybody's going live. So I want to appreciate the people who join me once again. Just always reach out. Um, like I said, I'm doing a class Thursday. I'm sorry, Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. It's a cybersecurity class. I just been going over AWS services because I've been studying for my AWS. We're talking about data lakes and how to secure them. I've done data warehousing for 15 years, so it's like the precursor before you put the data in a data warehouse. So that has me a little bit excited. I miss programming, to be honest. That's actually really what I really enjoy to do. What I really enjoy to do the most is programming. But we do need to hang out and talk. Yeah, Maddox, I know you're busy. I'm gonna interview you soon, man. We're gonna set up because I'm gonna start interviewing people. I got some hot people coming on. So yeah, we're gonna have to get together, Maddox, man. I value your input. I've been in the game for 30 years, but I don't know everything, man. Technology be changing quick out here. So I take all, comments, criticisms. Hey, if I got something wrong, hey, won't be the first time, won't be the last time, right? So like I said, I do more HDD hard drives, but that SDD is so much quicker too. And a lot of servers, have it now because you're trying to get that cache data running at memory speed. So they probably let facts. But hopefully we find them because the FBI was finding backdoors and was shutting them for people. I was very upset, JM. The FBI was helping companies shut down backdoors. I didn't like that, man. You need to send an email and let me shut my backdoor. Yeah, the FBI was doing that for thousands of companies recently. I was not happy with that, JM. I was not happy. Yeah, we'll do some, Maddox. Like I said, I'm going to interview you. Let me know if you want to be interviewed. I know sometime, I mean, if you didn't want to come up, I'm cool with that too, Maddox. Just let me know. We'll hook up. Yeah, the FBI was shutting people's back door, JM. They were helping the United States, but I don't know if I like that. I like them to send me an email and tell me I got a problem and let me fix it. So I might talk about that later again. That one bothered me for some reason, JM. I think I'm old and grumpy. Don't be on my network shutting stuff off. Let me do it. So yeah, that's some. And I think the United States is trying to get more serious, especially with the infrastructure, especially with all the big hacks we had in the United States over the last 2 years. Equifax lost all the United States data, not all of it, but 70% of it was from Equifax. Then my man brought up Target. Then you got the Colonial Pipeline and Solar Winds got everybody jacked up. So when I freed up, yes, I already did one. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, shout out to Keep It Techie. That's my man. There's so many good guys in this space, so we definitely want to give him a shout out. That's cool, man. I gotta go find that on you, Maddox. I don't think I saw that one. Yeah, so too is and that's what we're gonna talk about too. We're gonna start setting up probably this summer, setting up AWS labs, setting up 3-tier, talk about some of the stuff we just talked about, whitelisting in Linux, setting up your ingress and your egress to make sure you're controlling all your traffic, right? So you know what's going on. Make sure all that stuff is logged. Especially when malware hits, you at least got some virus protection on there. Hopefully to catch that malware. Hopefully it's not a 0 day and you can catch it up. But once again, drop a couple of questions in there. I'm about to shut it down. Thursday, Friday's almost here. Oh, my homies in the house. Let's talk a little bit about Linux. How to we was talking about the XC Linux to whitelist applications before they run on the Linux, so we can block it, so we don't have to worry about the wiper virus in Ukraine. Just talk about how we would lock it down from the virus. I'm dropping the link in there if you want to come up, Tim. I know you're a busy executive making accreditation money, but if you want to come up, I just dropped it. But yeah, everybody go check out Women in Linux. She's gonna come in on Women History Month. I'm passing the mic, so she's definitely doing big things on her channel. So I'm gonna do a little work on her channel. You know, get in her Slack group. I've been saying that forever. I could get my Slack skills, start helping out in the Slack group. But yeah, we just breaking down the wiper virus coming from Ukraine, Russia war. I work with a large state agency. The CIO and the CISO wanted to report. So me and the team, we got together and was kind of breaking down the pluses and minuses of the wiper virus. So I compare that to Linux and setting up some in AWS to make sure we don't fall victim to the wiper virus. So we were just chopping it up about the wiper virus. Something short and sweet. So yeah, go join to town. Everybody, join each other. Support Women in Linux. They doing big things. Like I said, I'm always on her channel bothering her. But shout out to her. I'm gonna start going to her. What the hell she call that thing? What that room you was spinning up? I can't even think of.
Which Clubhouse?
Yeah, I'm so old. I got to get to the clubhouse, man. I'm too old to be in the clubhouse now.
I may spin up Clubhouse tonight.
I ain't never been to the clubhouse. I need a personal invitation to the house.
I'll send you one. It depends on what I get through with tonight, because I got some classes to write, and I got to get ready for this call in the morning with a potential investor. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
So you make a move. So now the wiper virus are destroying hard drives in that Russia-Ukraine war. So I just kind of walked through what the wiper virus was and a few things you can do on Linux to do a whitelist of what apps you can run with the SC Linux on there. Check your apps.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay. Are you using MLS?
No, I'll show you real quick. I just think I was using the basic SC Linux because that's a STIG check.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, are you using MLS from that or something else?
This one. That's just SC Linux as default, and in there it just had the you set the little policy in there, and it tells if that you can run it or not. Yes, no. So just the basic one.
I mean, you have to point people to the SE Linux documentation on Red Hat and Fedora. I like Fedora better because I think Fedora gives a better breakdown visually first, and then when you get into Red Hat, they kind of assume some of the documentation from Fedora, but then in Red Hat they give a better overview for their particular product. I think Fedora just gives an overview in general if you just didn't know.
Yeah, a lot of my smaller clients, they just opt out. They say it's too hard to set up. I'm like, y'all
It
can't do
it it
that.
is. It
It
is
is
too it is hard to set up, but it is worth it.
facts.
Um in fact, I want the course that I'm writing is using SE Linux and Ubuntu for
Facts.
and working with containers.
That's why y'all got to
With
go
SE.
check out Tam and Women's Linux. She giving y'all that documentation. Black Ops just lecturing right now. I'm just
No,
talking.
but the visuals are good, right? Because
Facts, facts.
you give visuals. I tell people get on the command line and give them
Oh,
headaches.
facts, facts, facts. You be scared of them. I'm getting them ready to come to you. You be scared of them. I'm getting ready to come to you. So shout out to Tam. I'm giving them visuals in the novice course. Then they gonna come to you and get that real work.
Yeah, I try to give them headaches.
Yeah, facts, facts. I'm getting them ready for you. See, we working as a team. So yeah, I'm gonna see
It's
y'all
all
to Tam.
it's all good because the hard part of that is how do you take that and continuously to implement that in your
Wow.
environment, and scale that as well too. So when you start looking at stuff like this, that's when you start like, okay, well, how can I do this on a grander scale?
Facts, facts. Because I put in there, he said, from a Windows, he told him what you can cut on and just show you all the actions and the apps that I'm running on your Linux. Then he said you can use that file to take it to build your policy up. But like you said, I didn't even think about making it do that automatically.
Now here's a different question.
Yeah, yeah.
How is this virus going to affect our IoT devices like your satellites and
Somebody just asked me. I don't think it will because I think you got to click on it to actually to get it to
okay.
activate. So they tricking you with phishing. So I think we're okay on that. But I'm gonna let you chime in. You do more satellite thinking than I do, Tim.
Well, what? So here's how to look at that, right? Suppose
Mm-hmm,
you did get the virus, right? You
mm-hmm,
say it's got to be activated and clicked on.
mm-hmm.
What? How does it come over? Is it coming over as a JPEG or something?
I need to look in that. I think they were doing it both ways. They said they hit you with a DDoS. Then I think they finally sent something over that you can click on and test it, and you're so happy to click on it. So it looked like it was a JPEG or an image, but to be honest,
Okay.
Sam, I didn't dig. They just said it
And
was standard malware. Go ahead.
here's here's why I asked. Suppose you're doing automated unit testing or some type of test that actually can go through and click on something in a web browser or something
Oh
like so now it's you just automatically clicking anyway.
no, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no, you're right. Wow, I didn't even think about the automated test. Like you said, you can fake a click for your unit testing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think about that. So, oh, you toasted. Well, hopefully, hopefully the image, or even if they put in a PDF in your user test, hopefully you looking for a certain name or a certain size with a name, right? But I might be asking for too much on that, Tim. I'm thinking on the fly how to make sure you don't click on it. Um, Sometimes if it's in your pipeline, you're just gonna click. So that's a good point. You still there, Tim? Uh-oh. What's up, Ty? Tim, you might have to fall down and come back up. I don't know if you went on mute on accident. Tim, we can't hear you. So, but yeah, she brought up a point. A lot of times when you do unit tests, and they have these programs that click on stuff. So if it actually clicked on the wiper virus because you were testing a PDF or image, right? Now you toast because that virus is gonna destroy. Yeah, lost sound. So yeah, so just different ways once again to check on those and have Tam come back and get her input on it, and just different ways to do that. I can hear you now.
Okay.
So yeah, so now that was a good point. I never thought about that. That continuous integration into the deployment pipeline. You running those tests and they clicking on everything and running everything. So that's a good point.
Right. And then to the other one, I will also be also think about is in that automated test, is there a way? I don't know, because I'm not a tester like that.
Mhm.
Is there a way to detect viruses in the automated test? I would assume that something gets triggered or something can catch that, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, in ours, usually when you get a file, because I work with a tax system, in production we scan the file. So I'm assuming we scanning those files in development, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a 0 day though, you still toast. Because a lot of those
Mm-hmm.
nation states, they pay 20, 30 grand to get about 4 or 5 0 days, right? Because they want to make sure they get past your virus protection. So
Right.
mm,
You should do. We should do a stream on SOC 2 compliance.
I hate SOC 2, but I'll do it. My thing with SOC 2, because if you look at it, and I see this a lot, it's an agreement between the vendor and the client.
Yep.
So more than half the stuff I review is not in the SOC 2 report.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get detail. I say, okay, what's my data flow? Oh, it's in this server. I'm like, that server's not in your SOC 2 report, man. Where's we're gonna have to get you some more documentation. So I detest SOC 2 reports. Because
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of like I was telling, risk analysis. So I'm looking at your data flow diagram. Anything my data touch, like we talking about, you got to review your subs, because your subs will get you hacked. So most companies don't do the level of review I do for my subs. So I'm like, dude, it's in this database. What database not on the SOC report? So now they got to do a custom. So after that, I'm like, SOC 2 is garbage. I'm old school. I'm doing Stig, FedRAMP, and this 800-53. But CMMC's hot now, so I got to get
Mm.
up on that. And I don't like that either, man. I like NIST.
Why you
But
don't like CMMC?
because it's a subset of NIST, they say NIST is too hard, so now they try to make it less with CMMC. We should be getting better, not going backwards. But that's an old man thing. Get off my lawn, man. So I don't know, Tam. I could be overreacting. I'm just
Wait,
old and
wait, well,
grumpy.
they say that we got some of the worst compliance
No facts.
rules. Like, our stuff is ancient.
Facts. But I don't think it's ancient. I just think we don't want to do it. So, but that could be me.
Yeah, if you on LinkedIn, check out this guy named Chris Hughes. H
Was he on
U
your channel?
No, Chris. I've been trying to get Chris on my show. But Chris is
Huges.
uh-huh.
Okay, I'll check him out.
Hughes.
Hughes. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
check him out.
check him out on LinkedIn. Like, he goes in depth. He has reports and stuff like that. I'm trying
Okay.
to get him on the show so we could talk about some in depth knowledge on cybersecurity and just automation and FedRAMP and the whole nine.
Facts.
We
I
want
want.
I want to have like I want to do a show of in depth detail of cybersecurity. What does that look like? What does that mean, right?
Facts. It means a lot of things depending on where you coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because I hear
Facts.
people say they're going into cybersecurity all the time, and
No
then you
facts.
ask them about, well, what part of cybersecurity? They just be looking at you like, cybersecurity. Like,
Right.
what else? What else do you want me to tell
Facts.
you? I'm like,
Like you
a lot.
said, I just start with the team: red team, purple team, blue team, and green team. There's like 7 teams you can get into.
Yep.
So I would just start with the colors, man.
Oh,
Offensive, defensive, application. I mean, like you said, there's a ton of places
and
to get
and
in
like we did
cybersecurity.
on Saturday, and I did this last night. For those of you that have been to HBCUs or you're enrolled in the HBCU, SANS.org is
Oh, facts.
offering scholarships to get cybersecurity certified. You can go to SANS.org. You can go look up SANS.org and HBCU. You can
Facts.
have be enrolled in a college or be an alumni in from an HBCU.
You can
So
drop
go
it in
over
the
there.
link if you want. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
go over there and get your go get your training, and then go from there. Let me see if I can pull it up.
That's fine. You a moderator. I'm going for junior socks since I'm starting. That's cool. Do that. Go check out Textual Chatter. He's actually on with Black Heights. He's manager of the SOC. His thing is SOC. Check out Ricky. Check out Textual Chatter and Alpha Cyber and check those guys out. Those are both sock guys that's in the space. I don't do a ton of sock. That's probably the only thing I haven't done in cybersecurity. I've never worked at a SOC. I'm a compliance guy. I've been a programmer, DBA, app server, web server admin. The only thing I probably never had is SOC. Now, what I do for SOCs for my agency is I do compliance, like me and Tim talked about. I make sure our SOC is compliant. Make sure your logs are encrypted, how long you keep them, how long we got to keep data from that part, Ricky. But go check those guys out. They're actually SOC guys, and good luck, man. That's definitely a way to get in. A lot of junior positions get in there. Get in. Way to get into the industry. So if you need anything from me, let me know, Ricky. Like I said, I definitely don't do a lot of SOCs, but those guys do. Just putting a link down in what Tim said for if you went to HBCU, some free courses for you. That's one thing excellent, I think, coming out. There's a lot of free courses. From Linux standpoint, check out Keep It Techie. He did his free course in Linux. So I'm going through some of it. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a good course. Go check my man out. Oh, she put it in there too. Yep. So there it is. If you went from my HBCU, I appreciate it, Ricky. I came here to help people, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, we winding down. Keep throwing any questions. Go out and check. Throw the Women in Linux in there, Tam. I need y'all to go subscribe to Women in Linux. Even though it says women, they're very inclusive. They let the old guy like me up on the panel a lot, so I'm over there. So definitely check them out. They're throwing great gems out over there especially on the weekend. Tam be doing 90 shows on the weekend, so definitely go check her out. I'm over there. Too, as I'm getting my labs and stuff ready. They're going to be free for my first couple ones. So I'm going to start getting my lab game up. AWS, cybersecurity, and I'm going to do a assurance class. I'm about to also start a forensics basic class too. So we're going to start that in a couple weeks on my channel. I do a class every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern. We're doing data lakes and how to secure them from AWS. Mix that with cybersecurity. How do you make sure you have those locked down? We're going to be signing files, moving them in, tabletopping it. How does it get into their DynamoDB? How do we make sure it's encrypted at rest, encrypted at transit from an AWS perspective? What's up, Tim? You still there? Or you lost sound again? Tim, you still there? You might have to drop down and come up. I don't know if it's me or you. Like I said, I'm trying to get my little system set up. If you need to drop down, come back up, that's cool. I figure out what's going on. We keep blocking Tam. I don't know what we doing. We blocking Tam. I can't hear you, Tam. Say it again. You still, I don't know. You might have to come down. I still can't hear you. I don't know what's going on. I got to check on my little setup I got going on. See if she can come back. Once again, though, let's see. Get her back up. Say it again, Tam. I cannot hear you, Tam. Let me say, must be me. No, I got your sound up. Unmute you, mute you back. I don't know, Tam. I think we need to shut it on down, Tam. I don't know. We need to shut it on down. I need to figure out what's going on. I appreciate it. Let's see if we get Tam back on. We're going to say it again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome back.
Jesus.
I got to check on my little setup. I just got my little Restream IO. I don't know what's going on, Tam. I'm struggle streaming over here.
Yeah. So what it is, your it doesn't like it likes the web browser, but you need another screen in order to use YouTube and Restream.
I got two screens.
So no, I'm not on two screens.
Oh, you think you need two screens?
I need two screens. I probably need to cast you. I need to cast you somewhere else. But it's all good.
Yeah, we about wrapping it up, but nah, that's cool. What else you want to add? I'm shutting it down. I just came live.
That was it. I just want to make sure that we get out there and get our coins. Because more than ever, inflation is not slowing down, and they keep saying that the housing is going to bust, but more people are buying than renting,
Facts.
and rental rates are up. So,
Facts.
um,
Really.
you know,
You
hey,
clubhousing? You want to tell everybody to come to your clubhouse tonight?
I
Are
I
you
don't, I, don't, I mean, just join us on Clubhouse. It's Women in Linux on Clubhouse. I may go live later on tonight and talk about some stuff that I've
facts?
been seeing. I'm trying to get myself up. Um, I don't want to be like Sir Hell Speaks. I don't think I can get up every morning and do a show in the mornings.
Facts.
Uh, if I do a show in the morning, I'm too technical, so my stuff has to be a little bit more planned out.
Facts.
Um,
Facts. I'm with you on that.
for a early morning rise. So I don't know, but there's so much information that I can't really wait to Saturday, because that's why the shows be so long on Saturday,
Facts. Your
because we
shows
having
be
so much
loud.
information. I be
Facts.
having
You
so much information, like like so I don't know. I'm thinking about changing up the format, and drop daily 30-minute
facts.
shows.
Yeah, Ricky, tell 'em she's Women in Linux. So yeah, go check her out on that. She giving you job opportunities, what's hot next, companies to invest in, container. I mean, go ahead, Tam. I mean,
I
I'm trying to give you your
mean,
flowers. You doing it
no,
all.
containers, companies to invest in, platforms such as Arrived Homes.
Mhm.
You can get into this company called that lets you buy let you buy vines for from a winery. We're resting for a vineyard, and you can have your own wine, and it's all on the blockchain, and they're doing NFTs. So
Fine.
you get money off of that religiously, and it's only $100 to get in on it.
Yeah.
What does that look like for us with quantum computing, with Tesla building their own quantum computer, and all
Facts.
these different companies that are actually, that's been a big buy of acquire hire companies. Microsoft just did one, Tesla did one. um,
Mhm.
we have these shortages when it comes to chips, so people are turning to more software. They're also actually turning back to the CPU.
Facts. Facts.
And now we have cybersecurity. So the other one, there's an organization out there called Confidential Computing, where you at the CPU level, and Google Cloud has this. You can do your AI machine learning models in a secure fashion at the CPU level.
Facts.
So what does that mean? Now I can, instead of somebody injecting into my data or something of that nature, I can keep my computation secure while I'm doing while I'm making this model. So we're gonna start seeing more of that. We're already starting to see some now,
Nice, man.
because some clients are asking about it, but we're gonna start to see more of that.
Yeah, I was impressed. I was looking at the new Tesla chip, for all that AI machine learning. It was just so big and so different. I was like, "Ooh, okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
different." So then I was gonna look at it like you said, how can I attack it from a cybersecurity perspective? So that's kind of
What
my cue to see if I could do
well,
something
you
with it.
you you hear about Elon Musk and Starlink, right? And
Yep,
the satellites are crashing into each other.
facts,
And
facts.
so, what does that mean for one, space junk, and then two, why are they crashing into each other? Are they getting hacked?
Mm,
What's going on there? So those are things that I think about. When you ask the question about computation secure, it's called confidential computing. It's an actual called confidential computing consortium. And go check out the consortium, because what their goal is, as we make more machine learning and AI models, and we're building these things over time, how do we know that the data that they're using and the model that they're creating, how do we know that's secure? How do
right.
we know that data is secure? So um go it's a couple of videos out there. It's not too technical where you can't understand it, but
Yeah,
I
snuggle
see a
smart.
lot more people going towards that route. When
Facts.
I say people, I'm talking about companies.
Facts. Shout out to Snuggles. She's smart. One of my favorite trolls on the internet. She be lightly troll. Snuggles, I dropped the link, so if you want to come up, you can show your face on my channel. I'll be the first one, Snuggles. Now, don't do that. You need a bigger platform than mine, Snuggles. You need to go to Bernard Riley or KS or one of those radical dudes, Snuggles. We need you to the platform for when you come out. Show your face on the YouTube streets. So tell them what's coming up Saturday in your two shows. You're gonna give them a preview. You know what you're doing this Saturday?
Oh man, can you hear me again?
I can hear you. I thought you went out to
I was like, man, I'm so sick of this. So
you preview your two shows. Saturday's here. She might as well preview them.
I don't have them all written out. What I do have written out is what I've been looking at is these different companies that have been supplying that are putting job offers out there for like 300,000, 400,000, and 800,000.
Right.
And what I want to do is dig into what are those skill sets, where people can get those skill sets from, from that perspective. And then the trading.tv, I ended up getting in contact with the guy. So hopefully I can get him on the show. He's a brother that's actually making that created a trading platform that is similar to Robinhood meets Yahoo Finance. Where they're doing nothing but talking about all day trades, from trading from stocks to ETFs to cryptocurrency. But it's just it's a live broadcast, and I find it very interesting because I have my own thoughts on a platform that I want to build. So I think it'd be cool for that. We're also going to get into I want to get more into on the technical side on the second show to highlight what I'm seeing in the industry. Like this week, it's sitting in meetings and everybody's like, this was yesterday. They was like, we need more DevSecOps people. We have 10 recs open, and why we can't find nobody. Oh, wow. It's to the point now where they're just hiring people, and they're like, well, the people don't even have the education. There's like, we're just gonna have to start sending them to training. So they're dire needs, and it's not just places like Lockheed Martin or Novetta. This is across the board where people are just looking for people. Facebook or Meta is looking for production engineers. I get emails from them all the time, all day. Different companies that are looking for blockchain people as well too. So we're just gonna get into everything. Like I just put it out there for people to say, hey, just go soak up some information and pass the word, and here's how to get into it, and here's the support system that's around that so that you can start making money.
Facts. So make sure y'all check Cham out Saturday. And like I said, I gotta download the Clubhouse app. People keep telling me to get it. I'm like, dude, I'm barely doing YouTube, but I need to go and get on Clubhouse. I think I'm gonna do Clubhouse. Twitter just be so toxic, man. Sometimes I'm like,
what? I don't even be on. I used to be on Twitter, and now I don't have time. Once you start making content and stuff like that, the only reason why I go on Twitter is to look up content. But I don't have time to sit up and look at who doing what today or who flaming who. It just be I don't have that kind of time.
Oh, I don't. I know. I need to be studying for this cert, and I'm like, man, I got to balance my content and my study time. I ain't got the right balance, so I gotta do it. But thanks for coming out. I'm gonna be on your channel. Of course, Saturday. I usually catch the second one. I usually be out and about in the morning, so I
That's cool.
Catch the second one. But everybody go check out Women in Atlantic. Shout out to Stuggles once again. She's my favorite troll. We're cool. I see her around these YouTube streets. She be throwing me a little asparagus every now and then, so I can't complain. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everyone. Tomorrow's Friday. Let's have a great Friday and slide into the weekend. Thanks for coming up, Tim. You invited anytime.
Yeah, thank you, and make sure you get you some rest. Let's see, what is it?
Uh,
It's 8:19. Oh, it's
yeah.
almost your bedtime. It's
That's
almost time to go
close,
to
man. I'm
bed.
hurt, but I don't know. I gotta get ready. You might spin up on Clubhouse. I might need to join. I will see. Everybody have a great night and have a great Friday coming up. I'll check everybody out.
All
Later.
right, no.